Okay, we are live. Results on a Rampage. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. Mark has just been wondering where we are because it looks like we are 30 seconds, a minute late. So sorry about that. For those of you that are watching on the tube, Mark is in person. So great. We are broadcasting tonight. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't put the event in the page. Control copy. And I will do that. Control paste. And let me just add that, and we'll just have a momentary dance here while I do what I forgot to do because Rick was already on here and I was jabbering. So there I go. Hey, Mark, how you doing? So we're going to start our results on a Rampage tonight, and we're going to talk tonight about how come why later turns into never, and the results start now. So to start tonight's broadcast, Rick asked me while we were in the green room about a trip that I just did to Denver, so I'll share that with you. It's kind of fun. I spoke at an event on Sunday. I actually was there for Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and I was supposed to speak on Saturday. And a couple of interesting things happened, and this has everything to do with results. So let me share a little bit more detail about it than I normally would. And here's what it is. I went down to this event. It was a business boot camp, and I was supposed to speak Saturday. I ended up speaking Sunday, and so on Sunday there were only two speakers, myself and Glenn Morshower, who is a television actor that has been on the Transformers and on 7 seasons of 24 as the White House bald-haired guy that's the Secret Service guy that protects the president, and on the West Wing and several other things. And he's got 5 TV programs, he said, coming up where he's going to be a regular this year. So he's 2015, he said, is packed. Anyway, he and I were the only two on Sunday. That turned out to be a real blessing for me. It was really exciting to be on the program with him. He spoke after I did. He was the closer, which was great. There's a story behind it, and I'll tell you the story having to do with results, but it was really exciting. So the first neat thing that happened is after his talk, he came up to me and he thanked me, which was very flattering. And the reason he thanked me was because I was his energy source in the audience. He came just flat up and told me, you know what, you were a great refueling station. And so he looked at me quite a bit. And I have talked often on this one and on Break the Cage about energy and how we project and create power through our energetic projections. In fact, we had this hangout a while ago where we talked about doubts and fears and future vision, and talked about it being the energetic projection of our future expectation. And that's sometimes a powerful force about getting things created. I'm not going to do that hangout again right now. But anyway, so I looked at him a lot and intentionally created an energetic well and source for him, and he noticed it and actually came up and thanked me afterwards, which was really interesting. The talk was really good. I'll have a video of it soon. I got to send a Facebook to the guy who ran the boot camp, and he sent back to me today saying he'd give me the talk next week, my talk. So it was really good. So here's the story. On the way down to Dallas, we were leaving Friday, and I was up Thursday night late till 4 or 5 in the morning, and I only got a couple of hours sleep. And so I had to jump up and pack really fast. In doing that, I ended up rushing around, and I had this book right here that I had written notes in for my talk. I thought I packed it, didn't. When I got driving down the road, we were late to the airport, half hour later than we meant to leave, so we were rushing. Joy and I were going, and so then I realized after we were 1 minute out of the driveway or 2 minutes out of the driveway, I'd forgotten my book. So Joy was panicked because we were already half an hour late. She said, do I need to go back? And I said, absolutely, I got my notes in there. So we dashed back. I ran in the house, ran all over the place. I hadn't been very many places because I'd only been up an hour, right? And I couldn't find the book. All of a sudden, I was filled with this funny, peaceful feeling of you don't need the book, just go. So I ran out the door, ran across the green grass, common area, jumped in the car, and Joy was looking at me like, what's up? Where's the book? I said, I don't know, I can't find it. And I don't need it anyway. I've got the feeling, the voice. I just don't need it. So I just went. It was really cool because the talk that I gave was killer. The comments afterwards were that there were 2 life-changing talks at the event, myself and Glenn's. So I got a lot of real positive feedback. The funny thing was when I got home late Sunday night from the event, the book was lying in plain sight. Right there where I had been. And so it was quite an interesting experience to be directed not to take it, to have delivered an entirely different talk based on vaguely remembered points, very entertaining, very noisy, and created an awesome set of results. A number of people are still in touch, want to talk further. Maybe they'll be clients, maybe they won't, but I helped a lot of people, and it was really good. And I got moved to Sunday to speak with him. So that was a really exciting weekend for me. Now we're here on Tuesday night for results on a Rampage. If you didn't catch my show this afternoon on LA Talk Radio, you should download that and do it. I'm going to look right here and tell you just a little bit about what that is, because it leads right into today. And I talked about your personal story. Sorry, my LA Talk Radio show is about your personal story and why that matters so much. Now, those of you that have coached with me before know what I do with that. So now we're going to talk as an extension, results on a Rampage, about results start now. The true fact is, the only moment you have in your life is right now. The past is past and is good only for two things. Yesterday determines where you start today, because you have to start where you are, and you end yesterday where you do, and you start today in the same place. It's kind of like playing Monopoly. You know, you start moving your piece from where it sits, right? The other thing yesterday is good for is it will teach us some lessons if we choose to learn them. Okay, so the only day that we have is today, now. And so the results that you want to create must start now. We learn the lessons from yesterday. We have visions and dreams and desires for tomorrow, and we make action today based on a projection of 30 or 60 or 90 days out and aiming that. And when we coach, I talk about seeing your 90-day goals through the lens of your daily activities, and you've all heard me say that before. But the focus of tonight's Hangout is that results start now. They don't start tomorrow. They don't start with, well, I'll start that in the morning. And maybe the activity that you're going to do starts tomorrow. But the commitment to make it happen, the commitment to make it happen starts now. And without that commitment, nothing happens. So as usual, I broke this into 3 points, and my screen has moved, so they are moved, and I have to go find them. All right, so the first one is why later is never. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for just a minute, and then I'm going to ask all of you to give me an example of a later is never thing. We put things off for 3 reasons. We put them off because we're afraid. You know, it's the starting of it carries some trepidation. You know, we're just something about it we think will fail. We're afraid to do it. It's unpleasant. You know, I don't want to mow the lawn because it sucks. You know, whatever it is. So we're somehow repulsed by that activity. Another one is we might not have any idea how to do it. And so we put it off because we don't know how and we're too lazy to go learn. Or we put something off because we're apathetic about it. So we're lazy or afraid, we're apathetic. I said 3, and you can mix those any way you want to, so cancel the 3. But we're apathetic about it, we're lazy, we're afraid of it, we don't know how to do it. All of those reasons are the reasons we put stuff off. But here's the point, and this is particularly true with projects where there's no external deadline, where you owe it to somebody else. If you can create an excuse now, today, not to start your new health regime, your new fitness program, your new study program, your new website, your new business, if you can make an excuse not to start on it with the things you can do that's good enough today, then you'll make the same excuse tomorrow, and each day it gets easier. So let me give you a real example, and then I'm going to ask you guys for examples. My wife and I made a commitment to do a certain thing once a week. And describing it doesn't matter, but we made a commitment, a really strong commitment to do it once a week. And we did it for 12, 13, 14 weeks. Then there was a week of terrible travel, and we just could not get it. It takes about 3 hours. So we couldn't get it done. We just couldn't figure out a place to do it. And we can't do it at home. We have to go somewhere to make it happen. After that first week, then the second week, it got easier and easier. And so 4 weeks finally went by, and we didn't do this thing. We had made this together, this really strong commitment to do. Now, fortunately, we started over again. This week is, you know, success and so forth. But my experience, and I'm sure you'll share the same thing, is that the first time you don't do it, if you've made a strong commitment, it's a bit of a struggle. And after that, it gets easier and easier, and pretty soon it turns into someday. So the first point is that someday is often never. And let me open it up to comments, rebuttal, or clarifications. Anybody?
I I'll say something that certainly reinforces what you're saying, Kellen, but from the opposite side. I stretch before I go to sleep at night, and some nights I'm so exhausted I really don't want to do it. But I have learned that if I skip it one night, it just gets too easy to not do it again, and so I will not allow. That's one of the few places I will not allow myself to get away without to get away with it without doing it. And I certainly understand what you're saying, because there are hundreds of places in my life where I am apathetic or too scared or too lazy to do it consistently, and I'm paying the price for it.
So you actually have just absolutely confirmed it, because you said you knew from your past experience that as soon as you skip it once, it becomes ridiculously easy to do it again. Mark, I see you've unmuted. What's your comment?
Nothing really, just agreement. It's so apropos, exactly. You face apathy, or you give comes some kind of excuse, and that's what it becomes.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It becomes easier.
Totally. And you know, the funny thing is, you hear this all the time with like New Year's resolutions, right? New Year's resolutions. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. So the first day you do, boom, and you meet your friends there and you work out hard, and you maybe do the second day and the third day, and then, you know, then you're like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, my body hurts. It's sending me a message. I shouldn't be doing this. I should take it easy. It won't hurt if I take, you know, one day off. And you know, yesterday, maybe an extra day. Okay, so then the second day, and then it's the weekend, and I don't need to do it on the weekend. And by the time Monday comes, that, you know, that New Year's resolution is slated for the next January, if you're lucky. So that happens all the time. So that's perfect. That's a good discussion of what happens to us if we make the excuse to put it off. So let's talk for a minute about how to start today. So now that we all have sort of agreed that our propensity is to put things off, our propensity is to find reasons not to do it, let's take a look at it from the other end. How to start today. So in the Results in a Rampage book that I just finished 3 weeks ago, and so I'm going to put a comma here and talk about the book challenge. One of the things that's happening next week in the Kellen universe is on the October 28th and 29th, there's a 2-day book challenge. So I will throw in the event page the links if anybody's interested. But I'm putting on a 2-day book challenge. 3 weeks ago or so, I perfected, I had already written several books, but I perfected a system to get a book done in 2 days. I did it myself, and I posted some Facebook stuff about it to make sure that it worked. And now I'm creating 3 2-day book challenges. One is October 28, 29, one is November 21, 22, and one is December 15, 16. And that's happening next week, if anybody's interested in that, and I'll throw the link in the chat later. The reason that I'm talking about it right this second in terms of how to start today is this. If you have a goal that you want, whether it's to clean the garage or to make $1 million or anything in between, whether it's to fix a relationship or to, you know, get back in shape or to drop a bad habit, quit smoking, you know, argue less, get promoted at work, whatever it is, right? One way to start that is not very effective is I have to quit X. I really have to quit X. I mean, come on, you douchebag. Anybody with any brains would not do X. You weakling, I have to quit X. Come on. And you try to yell at or shame yourself into doing it. That quickly becomes, I've already tried 238 times to change X. This is the 239th diet. Any of those approaches are stacking the deck against you. They are creating all kinds of negative resistance. We've talked about energetic inertia on other Hangouts. And you're creating all kinds of reasons for yourself to fail. What if you come at it from the kind of the point that Rick was talking about, and the point that you make is, how will I feel when I weigh 50 pounds less? You know, I'll actually be able to run and play ball with the Boy Scouts where I volunteer. I'll be able to run up and down the hill and play capture the flag. I'll be able to go out and play, you know, with my son. I'll be able to play tag with the kids in the house. I'll actually be able to be a useful chaperone on the hike that the kids are going on next week, month, whatever. I will feel great. I can go to my doctor and he won't tell me my blood pressure is frightening him. There are all of these reasons and things that are attractive, that are positive. My wife will pay me wonderful compliments about how sexy I am. All of those things are a completely different but much better place to start any objective. I picked on weight, but any of them are the same. Imagine my business up and running with customers coming to me whose problems I really solve, who say to me, you know what, thank you. You really helped me get my this problem solved, whatever it is. I want that. It creates a completely different feeling. That's a completely different set of chemicals in the brain. Emotions, as all of you know, are just brain chemistry, right? We have a thought. The thought generates a feeling. The feeling generates an action. And that usually generates another thought about the outcome and so forth. So you get in this circle. And if you make a choice to think all of the attractive and positive things about the outcome that you desire and use that as your starting place instead of all the reasons that you have previously failed or all of the roadblocks that are likely to stand in your way, then you stand a much better chance of moving forward in a really positive way. Now, in the Break the Cage program that I do, we have a whole pile of proprietary things that we work on for making radical change, for radical change candidates. And the mental imagery and the place that we start is just one small piece of those things. So what I'd like to do is ask those that are here. I've got 4. We've got a whole pile of people here tonight. That's great. Any comments that you have about how tricks that you have or examples that you might have of changes that you've wanted to make in your life where results started differently because of what we're talking about or other points that you think are relevant? Mic is open.
One I used to do a lot. The one I used to do a lot was always think of the big thing I wanted to do. And of course, it was too big. It was too big a puzzle to try and grab it all. And I forgot to do the thing of take a step today. I don't have to achieve it all today. And worse, try and make a plan for it all. Let's face it, the minute we say, right, I'm going to make a plan, what we're really doing is say, I'm going to put it off. A lot of the time, you've really got to just say, right, what can I do today towards it as I plan? And that's what I've learned over the years, is that it's important to get that momentum going, even in the small thing. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. It used to be that I'd want to start with a leap, and that always stopped me.
That is a fantastic point. I really appreciate that. So let's talk about that a little bit more and elaborate on that, because it's going to lead right into the third point that I have for tonight. So that was a perfect segue, and Eamon is a great straight man. He's coming to us from the UK, as you can tell by his glorious accent, and so it's probably, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning there, and I'm flattered that he's up and about with us tonight. Anyway, so nothing moves until you do. You know, Einstein or somebody said that. Nothing happens. A journey of 1,000 miles, one first step, even in the wrong direction, and I mean that quite sincerely, is better than 1,000 years thinking about it. And here's why. Let's talk about what inertia is. Inertia is weight. It is if a rock's sitting here and it's not moving, it has inertia. And you don't get movement until you have pushed it forward. You overcome the inertia and you create momentum that Eamon talked about. A rock that is moving, even if you've pushed it the wrong direction, you can keep it moving and circle it around rather than stop it and start over again. But that initial action's done several things. One, you've actually made a commitment to do. Even if it turns out with a consequence or an outcome that wasn't exactly what you wanted, it wasn't what you, that's okay, because you took an action. You got some feedback immediately. Well, that wasn't the outcome I meant. That's okay. This is what not to do. That's the Edison thing with 10,000 light bulbs. So that first step is the key. to starting. Without it, you'll never make it. Never, 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 never. So that is a perfect piece. First step, first action, first mover advantage in economics and in business. You know, he who fires first wins. He who files the first lawsuit often wins. I'm not, advocating litigation of any kind. Somebody made a comment earlier before we started in the green room that my background was the barn. So I'm out leaning against the barn today, doing the barnyard commentary. Not really. Anyway, all right, so let's move to number 3. Kristen, I see you're on. Have you got a comment you wanted to throw in?
Yeah, I wanted to propose that discipline is like a muscle. And like any muscle, it has to be worked out, regimented, and starting out with the lower repetitions. You can't just go out there and pick something up that's 300 pounds. You start small and you do it consistently.
So that's perfect. Nobody can do your push-ups for you, and if you want to hit the floor and do 100 today, that might be hard, but you might be able to do 10, and then in a couple of days 11, and pretty soon, before the year's out, you actually are at 100. So absolutely, absolutely, the first step, the smallest number of reps, that's perfect. So that leads right into point number 3, which is ready, fire, steer. So ready, fire, steer. In my management career of umpteen years, 30 years in 2 countries and all over the place, I've been to 1 billion management seminars and charm schools and 30-day residential things at universities and that kind of thing, like a lot, right? And most of them, they're the flash in the pan. They're the management technique of the week, month, year, maybe even the decade. There was one thing I got from one multi-day management thing that I got that has stuck with me over the years. I love it. I'm going to say it here, and it is the name of point 3, and it is ready, fire, steer. Because of the speed with which things move today, because of the speed of demographic changes and technology changes and economic changes. I mean, the stock market's gone down to 8-9% in the last, or the Dow Jones has at least in the last month or so. Some people are worried, and the buy and hold guys are, outlooks and all that stuff. Ready, fire, steer acknowledges 2 points. One, that things are changing really fast, and we have to acknowledge that in our plans, and particularly if you're thinking about business, because business tastes, technology, delivery systems, and all those things change with that rapid speed. Okay, ready, fire, steer means don't overthink. Take that first step Ammon was talking about. Do those first push-ups Kristen was talking about. Take an action. Be prepared to steer. So ready, fire, steer always makes me think of, Superman riding a speeding bullet or whatever, and it's got a steering wheel. I don't know, crazy. But the point is, ready, aim, 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 aim will never work in today's business life because things move too quickly. Taste, demographics, technology, all of that stuff is moving too fast. And so fire. Put your stuff out. Some people say fugly. Some people say, however you describe it, start somewhere. Gather feedback, gather information, have a thick skin, be prepared for some failure, get ready to steer the boat, fire with your hand on the wheel, and so forth. So ready, fire, steer was the one piece I got out of all the hundreds of days of management schools I went to that is worth carrying into the future. It fits perfectly with how the economy and business is moving today, and it is advice that I give almost without exception. I say almost because I'm sure there's be a time that I wouldn't, but almost without exception to business clients and breakthrough clients that I coach, because that initial starting is the power, coupled with the preparedness to be wrong, the preparedness to be to take in feedback, to make adjustments, and to move forward without feeling the failure I screwed up, blah blah blah, that whole baggage nonsense. So ready, fire, steer is the mindset for turning immediate action into at least directionally the correct direction if you don't get immediate kind of results. So let's open it up for other comments and examples. Other thoughts from anybody on the panel? Or in the bathtub? No, I'm teasing. None. All right, that means I get to rant some more. So let me talk to you for a minute about some of the stuff that happened on Sunday when Glenn and I spoke. I talked about a personal story that day. It's really been on my mind a lot. I talked about the uniqueness of your own personality, and I'm going to tie that right now into this action, because inevitably, when I coach people, they tell me the following, okay? When I say, well, what's your story? What's unique about you? The first answer is always, nothing. I haven't ever done anything that special. It always makes me laugh, and here's why. Not because they're wrong, because without exception they are, but because I remember the first time I heard an incredible speaker tell a story that was impressive and captivated the audience and made me think, holy crap, I wish I had a story like that. And I found myself completely enmeshed in the idea of, I have no story. I couldn't possibly do that. Well, he's got this incredible story. And so I did exactly the same thing. And I went back and then I took my life apart and I did the things that are on the story blueprint, which if you don't have, I don't know why you don't have it. It's speed2profitmarketing.com. It's free, www.speed2profitmarketing.com. If you don't have it, you're crazy, if you don't mind my saying. But anyway, I used that process to go through my own personal life and events. And I was able, that was before I had turned it into a template for my high-end mastermind and everything. It was just a process. But I created amazing stories. And I now, in my public speaking and stage speaking, I tell stories with rapt attention and pin drop pauses, and everybody's gasping for the next word or laughing at whatever. And so because I went through that journey of absolutely sitting in that audience thinking I had no story, and I applied the ready, fire, steer, I thought, you know what, I don't care. I got to have one. I got to have a story, so I'm going to take what I got and turn it into something. And because I did the ready, fire, steer, the story got richer, the nuances got better, it got funnier, and my ability to tell it and to relate it to the needs of my audience went way up. And that was all because I was willing to take that first step, like Emmett talked about, and I was ready to do the ready, fire, steer. So let's recap, and then I'll ask for comments for close. Tonight, this is why results start now. The first point we made was, how come tomorrow is never? That's the reason. If we can create a reason to procrastinate today, we'll create the same reason tomorrow, and each day gets easier, and we don't make any progress. The second thing is, we talked about starting today. I talked about creating the positive vision of the feeling of the future to have it draw you forward. I say create a vision of the future so powerful it pulls you forward like a magnet. Emmett made the point about taking that all-important, critical first step. And then the third part was ready, fire, steer. Just stick it out there and make adjustments as you go. Have a thick skin, keep moving along. Enjoy the ride, even if the bullet is fast. All right, we're coming to the end. We're at 29 minutes. Let me open the mics. Comments, criticisms, questions, or anything else?
Just a comment from me that, yeah, I think, this whole show is all about getting that momentum and build it up as fast as possible, because then you can use that to help you get your aim right faster. You're already in motion. And you're not a sitting duck, which is another part of being in business. You want to, get something going and work on it from there with that momentum on your side.
Absolutely, and if you're a sitting duck, of course, then that means all of the people that are firing at you don't have to aim very hard. Any other comments?
Yeah, and so once you have that, then another important step is to build people around you so that they can help you with that momentum and keep it going.
It always helps to have more people pushing that merry-go-round in the playground, the one where people run around and spin, and then some people jump on and ride until they fly off. Well, when you end up with only one person pushing that, of course, they get tired really fast. So having a good crew to help you move, that is excellent. Who else have we got? Let's see. Mark, I see your mic unmuted. What's up?
This is going to relate to Baby Steps, the old Bill Murray and Dreyfuss movie where the the doctor's telling Bill Murray to go down the hallway and get to the library. He's afraid of the world. He doesn't want to go out and face it. So he's walking down the hallway and he says, see the elevator? Just take a step, get to the elevator, get inside, push the button, go downstairs, get outside, and then after a while you look back and you see how far you've come. It was one of the best lessons I think I ever got as a kid because I was able to see through that little comedy bit and see the lesson in it. It was pretty cool.
Spectacular. Rick?
I look forward to having the kind of confidence that allows me to go forth and work with customers and have them be a part of the story and collaborate with them and work together, because none of us are going to do this perfectly the first time. I'm not going to as their provider, and they're not going to as the customer. But if we both understand that we're trying to accomplish the objective together, and we're watching for each other's back and correcting for each other and putting in the feedback, I think it can make it a lot more exciting overall experience, because then I don't carry all the weight and all the responsibility entirely on my own shoulders.
That's a great point, and actually what we're going to do is one of these times we're going to have a hangout about on results on a rampage. That'll be a topic for another time, about gathering the right tribe and the power that you get from the tribe and how to select who's in it, the energy of the tribe and the energy of the support system that you've got, and have some naysayers around and some positives, and not all yes men or women and so forth. That is an absolutely wonderful point and a great way to end the hangout tonight, and a great topic for another time. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Emin, you've unmuted. You got a last point?
I was just going to say how important that getting the customers on board with the story is, because then it becomes their story as well. Once they are part of that story, you've got them forever.
That's absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons it is so critical to share your story. And I did the whole thing this afternoon on LA Talk Radio. You can listen to that. But if you can weave a story that people can see themselves in, then they become part of your story, and then they want to, and they look forward to your next episode, installment, product, service, and they want to be around you. So that is an absolutely critical point about customer excitement, emotional engagement, and retention. All right, thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Until next time, results on a rampage.